welcome to anyone that is here at the very beginning of my stream. We're going to be here for a little bit because we got a set of questions that got submitted for you all. Let's see who's here. This guy's here. Hello, thanks. All right, so what I did for like a couple weeks ago, I created a Google form, submitted questions. There's like 20, well, there was 22 submissions, but one of the submissions was already, so probably like 25 different questions. I'm going to just, and I was going to do like a slideshow, but then I just made questions for the banners across the bottom. I have a cup of coffee here. So I'll wait a few minutes for notifications to go out before I start answering any of the questions. So yeah, 5 years ago today, I created a channel. My first video was a few days later, but I'm going with the day of my creation. It's definitely changed over the course of 5 years what I share on here. Just gonna wait a few minutes and wait and see. Some of the questions have to do with RV life. Some of them have to do with like RV life versus apartment living, traveling, writing, how I write, how I read, pets, drinking, books, a little bit of everything. Let's see here. I thought about putting them all into categories. Like we're all going to talk about all of reading first and all of writing next. But I'm just gonna kind of talk up, see how they come. It was hard to decide what was going to be in what category, so yeah, there's a lot. There is 23 banners that I made. Someone actually asked, 2 different people had actually submitted the same question, so I'm not going to answer the same question twice. Once you are here, if you can hear me and see me okay, let me know down in the comments. Sometimes YouTube is weird. So I kind of have an idea of the order I'm going to answer some of the questions. I know which ones I'm going to talk about first, but the one I'm actually going to say for last is someone asked if I would read a snippet from one of my books. And since my books are no longer in Kindle Unlimited, I can do whatever I want with them now. Oh, we got a comment here. So Sky, I saw that you had commented on my live stream from earlier today, and you said you could hear me better than the one last night. And the only difference between yesterday's and the one that I did this afternoon when my husband was not here, is that I did not have my these plugged in. I was just talking to the laptop speaker, so that's the only difference. Odd. All right. So yeah, the one I'm going to save for last is if I can read a snippet from one of my books. That one I'm definitely going to save for last. So there's 22, 23 questions, but also if there's other questions that pop up in the comments down below, I will gladly answer those as well. All right, I think I will do this question first. Did you feel uncomfortable in front of the camera when you first began making videos? If so, do you feel more comfortable now? Now, I don't know who submitted the questions, because I didn't require anyone to like submit an email address or anything like that. It was just whoever wanted to submit questions into the forum could. So, I feel like I kind of cheated my way into being comfortable being in front of the camera for this channel, because my first YouTube channel I had was all about us traveling around. So I got used to just pulling out the camera and talking about my day, talking about us traveling to places. It got to the point where the kids were like, "Where's your phone, Mom? Why isn't it out?" We were out traveling and doing road trips and going to like national parks and things like that. So I think the aspect of me filming myself wasn't that hard to transfer from talking about us traveling to talking about my books. But what was hard was me talking about my books and talking about my writing progress and process for writing, because I wasn't sure how much to share or not share. I definitely do feel more comfortable talking about whatever I'm going to talk about now. In the beginning of this channel, my videos were very, I'm going to stand in one spot and talk about this and nothing else. And I tried not having, like, the background was plain white wall. I tried always have my hair done. Beginning of this channel, I would only talk with me in the video and not include anything else, because at that point I was trying to keep my writing life and everything else life separate. But if you've been around this channel amount of time, you can definitely see that I was just about anything and everything, because I feel like when you're a writer, everything affects it. How you live, how you travel, your health, your living situation, all that would affect how you write. But I definitely, if you look at my very first couple of videos I did on this channel, I was very unsure of myself. I would spend a while editing things out and starting over. Well, I don't like how that was, so I'd erase it and I would start over from the beginning. Now I'm more the type to just keep talking, and instead of starting over, I'll be like, okay, no, scratch that, start over from this point as I'm recording. And so then when I go through editing it, it's a little bit easier. So I think that answers that question. Wish more people were here, but that's okay. So uncomfortable beginning, more comfortable now, because now I'm more apt to just share about my general day-to-day. Going to move that to the bottom of the list, so I know that I already did it. All right, let's pick another question. That's the way to do it. Are you referring to moving it down the list, or what are you referring about? Oh, you mean me just talking and saying, okay, I don't like that, instead of starting all the way over? I think that's what you're talking about. I'm pretty sure. Okay, can you see how I rather than starting over? Yeah, I used to start over from the beginning and it was just, but now I just find it easier to just keep on rambling and eventually it'll make sense in the end. Okay, let's go on to the next question here. Hard to choose. All right, I will do this one next. Someone had asked today, because I checked the questions submitted yesterday. Between yesterday and today, someone added this question: how do you balance all the platforms? And in a general overall answer, I will say I don't. I do not balance all the platforms. I do have a TikTok, Instagram, Facebook page, YouTube, obviously, and a website and Substack. Substack, I was doing well, and then I stopped using it. It's still there. I just don't use it very often. My website is the one that I have a page that has all my books listed. I'd say I'm more active on Instagram, meaning like it's really easy for me to create posts and just create several, and then I schedule them out. Or if I haven't talked about my book in a while, I'll release it there. Sometimes I'm really active in my stories, sometimes I'm not. TikTok, I was doing a post a day for like several weeks, and then that just got time consuming, and then the TikTok thing went away and it came back, so that was disheartening. In a nutshell, I do not balance all the platforms well. See here. I'm just sending the link to my live stream to a couple of people. Because I know a lot of people I interact with online were like, oh yeah, that'd be fun. And as always, if you watch this, you can totally replay it later. So yeah, I don't really balance all the platforms. I know that I'm more active like on TikTok and in my stories on Instagram when I have like a new thing coming out. And I haven't always been active on YouTube. I don't know, just kind of, I'm active on certain platforms sporadically, but not active on all the platforms all the time. I also feel like if you can't devote your life to all the platforms, don't pick like one or even two that you like. I like YouTube, I like Instagram. I think those are the ones I like the most. I like TikTok and the time suck it does when you're consuming it, but making content for TikTok takes forever and a day. Okay. I sent the link out to a couple of people, a couple more people to see about them joining. I know that there's probably other people joining right now too. So there's that I'm dealing with. But like I said, I know that this will be on a replay. I'll have it available for replay. You can rewatch it whenever you would like. Okay, so I'm just going to sporadically reintroduce myself. Thanks for, if you're watching this in replay, my name is Stephanie. I'm a romance author, and today marks my 5-year YouTube anniversary, and I am answering questions submitted by an audience in a Google form. Also, if you have any questions you want to ask me while you're watching this live, please put it down in the comments and I will be sure to answer it. Okay. Let's see here. This was asked a couple of times. How do you manage balancing your writing time with kids, housework, and writing? So it's changed over the years for sure. When I first was writing, I would write from like 9 p.m. to like 1, 2:30 in the morning. And I'd probably write several thousand words in that time. And I was participating, it was in 2020, and I was participating in a lot of live streams from the chat side. And so I was doing that. And then during the day, I would, cook the kids' food, make sure the house was clean, I guess. And then I also homeschool. Uh, and then the times that we would be traveling from one spot to another, I didn't write because we were traveling in an RV. Like when we drove from Texas to Pennsylvania, didn't really write that much. We drove from Texas to Washington, didn't really write that much. Now that we're in an apartment, I feel like it's more balanced as far as like housework stuff, more spread out. I'm able to see your type. And you would think that me having a dedicated writing spot and a desk and a computer is already always out and it's over here, not in front of the TV, and that I'd be more apt to like, I'm going to sit here and type every day. I am not that dedicated. I do enjoy writing. How do I manage balance? Well, okay, so I'm a capable adult. My husband's a capable adult. My kids are 12 and 14, so everyone, I give people chores. Not my husband, like whatever. Like, the kitchen needs to be cleaned every day, every night. So, like this week, Jackson has dish duty, and then the next day, Ileana puts away the dishes. And whoever's week it is doing the dishes at night, the other person cleans their bathroom every day or once a week. Trying to get the kids to be proactive with vacuuming, but so far I'm the only one vacuuming. Jackson says it takes too long, and Lee says she has no arm strength, so there's that. Balancing writing time with kids' housework and writing. I feel like I balance it not consistently, but in bursts, I guess. I mean, because there's like days and weeks where not a lot of housework gets done, but his stuff gets done more. Like last week was spring break around here, so I didn't really write that much last week. Last week I didn't really write all that much because we spent a lot of time taking the kids to the library every day. Well, I did anyway. I don't know. We'll try to balance. So I definitely don't treat writing books as a full-time job, so I don't make myself sit down and write every single day. I do not write, mainly don't write during the day. I'm more of an evening and nighttime writer, so because I write mainly in the evening and nighttime, my writing time doesn't take the place of time with the kids or housework or cooking or things like that. Another question now. Let's see. I'm gonna do this one because this one's fun. Someone had asked about my favorite childhood pets, and it says, tell us about your favorite pet growing up and what you liked best about them. We had pets growing up. I think it was like 7. We got a German Shepherd. I remember we walked, me and my mom, and I'm pretty sure my sister was there too. We walked over to get the German Shepherd from wherever we're getting it from. And yes, I feel like if you're a writer that has kids, How do you not write at night, honestly? Being maybe if they're gone all day at school, I might write during the day, but probably not. My brain isn't awake during the day. Like, okay. Yeah, so German Shepherd named Jake. I remember when we went to get the German Shepherd, my mom was carrying it in her arms, and she was wearing a white jacket for some reason, and the dog peed on her jacket. It's like my first dog or first pet memory. And then a little bit later on, we had a black bunny named Blackie because we were really original with naming our pets. And the bunny fell to the bunny got injured. We'll say injured from our lovely dog that we had. Then the other animals we had, those are the ones I remember mostly, like the first few pets that we had growing up. Jake was small and he was friendly, and I remember walking him a lot, going to the park with him. The bunny, we had an outdoor like bunny cage run for him or her until it accidentally got out, and all we found was fur in places. I'm pretty sure our dog had a snack. Okay. What is a PG way of saying the dog had a snack? I don't want to offend anyone here. Okay, so I think I'm going to... There's a few questions that pertain to like traveling in RV. I'm going to answer those next. Okay, so first we have this question. What's your favorite thing about living in an apartment rather than an RV? Well, most definitely never-ending hot water. But I think my favorite thing about living in an apartment rather than an RV is that I have a bathtub I can soak my horrible bones in every night. I also like having a dishwasher. Those are my two favorite things right there. Simple things, having a bathtub, because in the RV we only had showers available, so. But most of the campgrounds we were at had hot tubs that we could soak in, so that took the place of the shower. Not that I would bathe in the hot tub, but just like soaking my lower back in the water was nice. Okay, and then what was I? Okay. This next question was, what was your favorite thing about traveling in RV? I liked, if we didn't like where we're at, the weather was cold or too hot, or if our neighbors were annoying, we could just pick up and move along. And I liked that everything was with us at all times. I think that's one of the reasons why the kids were fine with moving around all the time. Not all the time, but often. It's because the only thing that changed was the scenery. Like, still had their bed, still had the same routine and all that. I like being able to see the places that I definitely would not have seen if we did not have the RV. I liked being able to say, let's go see this roadside attraction, like world's largest ball of twine, or the giant sandhill crane, or the buffalo in the middle of the road. I like being able to see the places that we need to see, and I also liked meeting the different types of people along the way. Well, that answers the question for whoever asked it in the first place. All right, this next one is, do you prefer life in an RV or apartment? There are things I definitely miss about the RV. I feel like I'd talk to more people real real life, face to face, when we're in the RV as opposed to the apartment. Because even though this apartment complex has 11 buildings, it's not like an apartment complex where it's like, oh, I'm gonna talk to my neighbor and get to know them. There's lots of kids living in the apartment complex, but you don't really get to. It's not like one of those ones where you get to know your neighbor really well. That was a hard question. I do miss aspects like talking to people and the potlucks I'd be at the campground and all the activities going on at the different campgrounds we would go to. And I think I would enjoy living more if our downstairs neighbors weren't so freaking loud that it would sometimes make our floor rumble from downstairs. I do miss being able to be like, hey, let's go here, and we just go and take our house with us. So I do miss that part. Out of everyone, I was the one that was most sad about leaving the RV behind. You're like, whatever, I'm done. The kids will tell you that they prefer apartment because they have they don't have to drive to go to the laundromat or walk back and forth to do laundry, and they have nonstop Wi-Fi. So they're teens. Just get them Wi-Fi and food, and they're happy. Alrighty. I don't know. The next question here. Right? Wi-Fi and chocolate, and they're good to go. Next question I'm going to answer. Oh, this one right here. What is the most challenging thing about filming or doing live streams for you? Prior to October of last year, I'd say the most challenging thing about doing live streams for me would be finding reliable internet to do the live stream with. Because I would rely on the free Wi-Fi free campground Wi-Fi to run the streams, or sometimes I'd use the hotspot from my phone to run the streams, and it'd be lagging, and sometimes I'd crash, so that was annoying. And I do think that now that we live in an apartment, the most challenging thing about filming like vlogs and stuff like that would be me just remembering to pull out my darn phone and videotape stuff. And I think now that we're in an apartment, I have a place to sit and everything, that is much more easier to do live streams and video filming and things like that. I do think doing vlogs where we're not traveling, so it's always the same thing in the background, always the same like routine and all that, makes it a little less, to me, a little less interesting to do. And then like when I'm doing live streams, I guess just finding the right time of day and week to do them. When I first was doing filming on this channel, I was like only about writing and nothing else, but now I kind of just incorporate all of it. So I think maybe just finding a good balance between writing stuff and not writing stuff to include in videos. Have I found a system that works perfectly? No. And honestly, it probably just changes week to week, month to month. About like, okay, this month I'm gonna be talking more about books I'm reading, less about what I'm writing, or this month I'm going to be focused more, or this week focus more on like what my writing progress is because I'm getting ready to finish a book or something is ready to come out to be published. I'll be talking more about that. Here's one. Do you feel starting your YouTube channel has helped you find a community of people that get you and that you can truly bond with? So when I first started attending like Authortube type stuff, it was not with this channel, and that's so then I started this channel, and I feel like I've gotten to know people just from them doing live streams and doing writing events and things of that nature, because I think you really get to know how people are when you're watching live as opposed to a edited video. Although I like to say that my like filmed videos, pre-recorded videos are more just how I am naturally day to day. I've met a variety of people from all walks of life since starting my channel. If it wasn't for this channel, I never would have met Sky in person in Montana when we were traveling around. I definitely would, yeah, so that's one thing. Like, I met her because of the channel. I'd like to say I made friends with a couple other Authortubers because of the channel, because this channel has made it, I feel like, made it possible for me to interact with others in live streams. I've been in other people's channels on live streams. They come and chatted with me. So let's see. There is one. Do you got a comment? For sure, yeah. I just feel like the community basis the of the way they interact with other author related channels and accounts kind of makes it kind of impossible not to meet others, but you also can get a feel of what they're like by just watching their sit down videos, see if you even want to talk to them in person. Thank you. Yeah. So we're just gonna make plans to do it again at some point in the next decade, right? Well, I've met you in person, and then I met Glory and her brother in person. I think there's only 3 people I've met so far in person. And that was just because I happened to be traveling in the general area at the same time. All right, so my next question that was highlighted said, do you find it hard to share all the facets of your personality when making videos, like quirks and all? At the beginning of the channel, yes, I try to speak perfectly concise sentences, try to not move my hands a lot, but now I feel like how I am in my sit-down videos, how I am in live streams is pretty much how I am in person. I don't feel like I could pull off a online personality. Like I know I want to present myself the way I would present myself if you ever met me in person. And because I don't want to like have a persona online. That's what I was trying to get at. If I have a persona online and then I happen to meet someone that interacts with me online and put them totally different from how I am, it might like turn them off or whatever. It's also why I feel like my vlogs that I do are, I kind of have a term for it, like life unscripted, because I kind of have an idea what I'm going to talk about when I sit down to video stuff, but in the end, what comes out is whatever comes out of my mouth, I guess. After 5 years, I'm definitely more at ease in front of the camera, talking about myself, talking about my writing, talking about my books, reading habits, and all that. But that was not always the case. Right, next one I'm going to do is, do you think being an Authortube content creator has helped you with your writing in some way? Well, my first two books were completely drafted while I was attending live streams, and that was before I started hosting any of my own. I do think consuming content of how other people format or publish books or create covers or how they outline or how they market has helped writing. I do know that when I do any live streams, write 10 live streams like during the day, I'm just there to like catch up on what people are working on, or sometimes I'll say stuff in the comments, but I don't really write during the day. So, although this next week I'm going to try to change that so I can finish my project by the end of the week. I do feel like if you're in the mood to procrastinate and not write, you can just jump on a live stream and be like, I'm being supportive of other people's work, so this I don't have to write. I do know that there's been times where I've like crowdsource, where like, okay, I'm just being stuck on a problem, and so I'll talk about it or talk about it online, like live stream like this on camera, or I'll be chatting in the comments about it. And so because of that, I've come up with like book titles, character names, character jobs, things of that nature. So that's been really helpful with the community to help with that sort of writing. Because it's always nice to bounce up ideas from other people who are also writers and authors. Let's see here. Here's one. It says, has traveling around helped you with your writing in any way? In what ways has it helped? Let me think on this one for a moment here. I think it helped with me interacting with people that I normally wouldn't interact with, and so I could see how different people would talk, how they would interact with each other, how people in the Northeast talked and treated people differently than, like, say, in Texas, or people in Missouri treated people differently than Montana. So I got to see how different people would interact with the general public. And so yes, that's right. So one, got to see how different people interacted with just their community. And then when I go into, like, different stores or restaurants or different types of libraries, small town libraries, big towns, I got to see that aspect of it. Sometimes I'd be driving down the road and it'd be a little dark. I'd be like, ooh, I wonder what would happen if our car broke down here, or this would be a really good picture for a book cover, or this would be the perfect type of weather for a storm in a book. What else are you going to think about as you're driving down a road for hundreds of miles? Mm. All right, somebody asked me this question. Again, I'm not sure who. It is 42 minutes in. If you've made it this far in the rewatch, thanks again. At the end of this stream, if there's any questions that came to mind, I'm going to put them in the comments, and I'll be sure to respond to them just back in the comments or another quick video, either one. And it's 5 years since I'm in the channel, so I'm just answering questions that the audience submitted. Who are your favorite fictional couples, people you'd want to get together? I don't really think about that sort of thing, honestly, but I was talking to my husband today. I was like, there's this question, and the only thing I can think of is I wish that Buffy from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Spike actually got together in the end. That would be really cool. I'm Team Spike for sure. But, like, yeah, I don't really think about this sort of thing. I don't really do, like, the boyfriends but girlfriends or whatever. That's not my thing, which is weird, I guess, for some people to hear. I couldn't really tell you about. I've made a joke about, like, Princess Mia from the Princess Diaries and the real Prince Charming should get together, or Princess Mia from the Princess Diaries and the shepherd boy from the Princess Bride. But it was kind of like a joke because I don't really think about that sort of thing. All right, see here. All right, so someone had asked how many drafts do you usually go through for a novel? I don't know if I do this right, so I'll start brainstorming on paper, and then once I kind of have an idea, I'll start typing a story up on my computer. And we'll reach in, I'll go through, and I will catch any spelling errors, and then I'll go through again, and, like, I will either read it out loud or read it, like, on my Kindle or my phone. So this will have it read out loud to me, and then I'll fix anything that's missing, like, oh, I need to add more detail here or remove this. But I don't, like, start over in a brand new draft. I'm working in the same document the whole time. But if I was going to rewrite it each time I have a new draft, I'd probably say like 3. 3 drafts most potentially. It's like finish first and then spell check, proofreading, and editing the word choice and stuff as I'm proofreading it. Then I'll probably have someone read it, and then I'll go through and change it based on whatever they might be talking about. Like 3 to 4, probably. But again, each of my books have been a little bit different. Some of them are really easy and like to get through. Some need more editing than others. Okay, here's one. When did you know you wanted to be a writer? I was most likely, I say like 8th grade. I 14 to 16 years old, somewhere in there. Now, I'd always said I wanted to be an English teacher or a published author. I teach kids how to write, so I feel like I'm an English teacher. Didn't really know what I wanted to write, I just know I wanted to write. Then, after I read the book Flowers in the Attic by B.C. Andrew, I said to myself, she made this up about this family in the attic, and they were tortured, and bad things happened to them, and she had millions of readers. But it's like, if she could make this stuff up and make a lot of money, I have a horrible horrible upbringing as a child, so I could write my story and be really popular. Yes, I finished that story. So was it popular? No, but I did finish it. So yeah, a while ago. I want to say like 98, 97, 98, somewhere in there. All right, so that seems my part, but what I've seen others say, honestly, I never kept track of drafts, so that's a question. Yeah. I don't like make a new file for each rendition of the draft. I just keep working in the same draft. Speaking of drafts, my editor is reading a short story for this fundraising anthology. Let's do at the end of the month. I told them that they want any gummy bears, then you need to. I'm paying them with gummy bears. You want gummy bears and jelly beans? You need to finish reading that one book. Well, it's a short story. It's like 4,000 words. And Renee, thanks for coming. Hey, it's okay. I'm here. This will be up for replay after it's done. Answered quite a few questions, but like I said when I was talking to you in the stream earlier, if there's anything that you wanted me to talk about, just ask away in the comments. So when Renee was in, she was watching my live stream earlier today when I was going directly from the desktop, and I think the only difference in the audio is that I didn't have this plugged in. Odd. So yeah, I knew I wanted to be a writer in my early teens, and I would use what would now be the first book, bits and pieces of that first book in different writing exercises, writing assignments for high school into college, set aside, work on it, set aside, work on it. Let's see here. Another question. Here's one. how do you make up your locations for places for your town? I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret here. My town that I use in Ways of Love and Laughter and Sand and Second Chances is called Rockaway Beach, and it's an actual rural town. I lived on the Oregon coast in the real town of Rockaway Beach, and so I used the layout of the town for my book. So I felt like I cheated because it's based in a real place, but the characters in it have nothing to do with the people that I grew up living there with. And then there's another town that I'm writing in. I'm calling it Tranquil Bay, but it's literally the next town over on the Oregon coast as well. It's just not the same name as that town. Why did I say do a different name? Because I randomly made this town name in one of my earlier books, and so I went with it. Now, in this town, this real town, there's a post office, and I made up like the coffee shop and the candy shop and the restaurant that I eat pancakes at all the time, and this other restaurant by the lake. So some of those places are sort of inspired by places in the real town, but that's about it. And the reason I wanted to go with real towns, because then I knew how all the roads were laid out in this town, so I didn't have to like make a whole new map for the layout of the town. Thanks. Alrighty. Is there any of your books that you would like to see turn into a movie or TV show? Which one? I mean, I think it'd be, out of all my books, I think the one that'd be more apt to be picked up to be made for a TV show would probably be my first series, because that's what a lot of producers like: horrible, sad stuff on TV to watch. But I also think my very first book, Ways of Love and Laughter, would be a fun one to like a Hallmark type movie form. Yeah, so like, yeah, so the layout is there, the park is there, the stores are there, and all that. But there's a restaurant, a candy shop, and a coffee shop. But they're not in the same places that anything really is. So yeah, I just use the layout so I know that in my mind where the coffee shop is not the same place as like the police station or whatnot. Right. I think any of one would be a fun one to do, but I think the first one would be fun because you would get introduced to the whole cast of characters. There's blind date, there's communication, kissing, coffee, pancakes, blind date fun, drama from this in the background. So see here. Create a source of information for your stories. Well, I've watched a lot of Hallmark movies. I like romantic comedies. I just think about the stuff that I like to read and watch and kind of go from there. Or sometimes I'll be like, I wonder what would happen this or what would happen that. Inspiration by stories. That's a So if the person that asked this question in the chat, let me know. But what do you mean, like, inspiration? Like, where do I get my ideas? My ideas are from my brain. Well, for in my first book, one of the characters developed an amputee, and so I'm gonna ask my husband about stuff for that character, but the character's not based on him. I don't know, like sometimes I might be like watching a TV show and be like, that was a funny line that they said, and I'll write it down. Or sometimes I might want to be like scrolling through social media and see like a clip of a video. I'm like, oh, that'd be interesting. Do find I think I like the blind date trope and like a second chance at love again type tropes are my two ones I get inspired to write most by the characters I dream up. Like my characters aren't really like based on a person, just like happy endings. Romance leads to happy endings, so that's what I just write. And my favorite romance tropes. My favorite romance tropes to write are Boy Next Door, Second Chance. Okay, let me answer this one and then I'll go over to here. Favorite one's yeah, alright, so I'll do a little bit of both. So my favorite trope to write like second chance of love, and not like, oh, they dated once and then years later they're gonna try again. But my favorite trope to write is where you're giving love another chance to succeed in your life. And then I guess I kind of like writing like the brother's friend or your best friend's brother type trope. I have actually published those, but I have those in the work. And I also like writing, oh, a newcomer has come to town. Let's get this person acquainted with the town, and then that sort of thing. Is that what you mean? And Renee also asks, has ability settle into a bigger place? More to clean. It's pretty much all it is. It's more to clean. I do like the fact that we have a washer dryer in our apartment as opposed to having to drag it to some place. I like the small town romance trope because there's a lot of things you can do with that sort of thing. You can do people coming in and out, or new love interest, or there's all sorts of things you can do in a small town. I don't know if that's really a trope. Um, okay, so some other chores that they have. So chores we have, there's like laundry and cleaning the kitchen, which includes wiping down the counters, cleaning up the sinks, sweeping the floor, and running the dishwasher, unloading the dishes, and cleaning the bathroom. So the things that they have to do every day is they have to like get up, get dressed, brush their hair, brush their brush their teeth, wash their face, make the bed, and put their clothes in their clothes. Now, when they get enough dirty clothes, I'll just tell them, hey, switch it over. They fold laundry together, and then they alter. I was alternating days, but now I alternate weeks. So this week, Jackson does the dishes at night, and Ileana puts them away in the morning. And Jackson's the one that does the cat box every morning after breakfast. And then whenever they needed to take out the garbage, if there's more than just a bag of garbage, Ileana will walk with them. No, there's not a ton. So whoever's job it is to put away dishes in the morning is also that person's job to clean the bathroom that week. But I don't feel like, okay, well, this chore is only for you because you are older, and this chore is only for you because you're younger. Jackson likes doing the cat box, so he does the cat box. And honestly, I think he likes doing it because he gets to run downstairs and up the stairs. Being able to do laundry when you want is so much better and easier. Yes. So once the kids get a small pile on their floor of dirty clothes, we put in the washing machine. And once it's about halfway full, we'll run it. It's like a triple load, but if we put all the clothes for the triple load into the dryer, it takes forever to dry. And then once the laundry basket is full of clothes, then they fold them off. But yeah, there's not a ton of chores, just alternating. Sometimes there's just extra like boxes stuff like recycling. I'll be like, Jackson, take the big one, Illy take the smaller one, take them out together. Okay, I'm almost to the end of these questions. Here's one. What is the longest book you've ever read? Ever read? Yeah. We'll get it up here. I think I know what it is. Okay, I see the problem here. Okay. How many pages is it? So I've read, I think two of the longest books I've read is Tucking Around by Emily Rath. It is a hockey sports romance with a polyamory type relationship going, and it is 756 pages. The other book I read that was a long while ago was the first book in the Outlander series by Diana Gabaldon, and that book is 850 pages. So there's two longest books. I'm also working through Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. And so, I know that one's pretty long. All right. I grew up in one, so I know what it's like to live in one, so I feel like I give an authentic voice to a small town. Plus, I like being able to like write the relationship and community feel of things. Okay, Heather is here. Hi, thanks for coming in. Yeah, so we've been on here for about an hour, and I've answered quite a few of the questions that got submitted. If you're here in the chat and you submitted a question, you want me to talk about it again, I can totally do that. If you have any other questions you want to ask me, put them in the comment and I will answer them as well. All right, so we have 2 questions plus reading a snippet of one of my books. All right. What inspires your characters? Like, how do I come up with my characters? Is that what you mean? Kimmy says, oh, good. I'm glad you're going to hear me this time. I've definitely hard to stream when the only internet is Library One. Was my go-to for internet access when I didn't have it. Yeah. Benefit of an apartment where the internet is much better, obviously. All right, so Renee asked me, where's my characters? So after I wrote my first 3 books about my crappy upbringing, I was like, I needed to think about something happier to write about. So my daughter said, you should write about how you and dad met on a blind date. I said, that's a good idea, but the characters in a blind date are not not me and my husband's blind date. Although aspects myself came out in the Sophia girl, like dramatic, overthinking, observe herself, that sort of thing. And then the male main character is a little amputee, which is also my husband's health issue. But that was it, really. Sometimes, like, one of the boys in the book is kind of annoying and thinking that he's gone to get to women, so, like, you just take inspiration from all the dumb guys you see in movies. I think most books and movies you have like a girl who's like the main character, and I usually have like a best friend or a friend that's a little bit more outgoing and tries to push them into new situations, and that's where I came up with the idea for Rebecca. Sometimes like a memory of interaction with somebody or something gives me an idea for a character. Sometimes it's just me thinking to myself, we need a different type of character to come along. All right. What are some of the things you look for in a book that makes you want to read it? That was a hard one to answer because it's not like I only read fantasy or I only read romance or I only read this or that. mean, I'm not a huge historical reader. I don't like reading that sort of thing. I like romance and comedy and adventure and thriller and fantasy. A little bit of it all. Vampires, witches, magical realism, space travel, time travel. I think the thing that I look for first is I don't know, I was gonna say characters, but then like if I'm reading a true crime novel or a true crime documentary about something that's not character driven. Just something about it has to pique my interest. Usually characters, setting, place, trope, that sort of thing. What's your favorite type of scenes to write? I like writing banter, meaning a back and forth conversation between two characters. Those are my favorite scenes to write. And then also when two characters meet for the first time, like the love interest of the book meet for the first time. Those are my two favorite type to write. Yes. Thanks for saying up with everyone. Ooh. All right, we have this. We have two left. Unless people pop some more in the comments. All right, this said, is your author brand a major focus for you? And if it is, how do you balance maintaining that brand you're trying to create and actual writing the work you want to put out in the world? Is the person that asked this question in the chat now? If you are, if you could lend some more detail to what you were trying to get at, because I feel like I'm creating an author brand other than like I mainly write romance, so a lot of my like promotional images type of thing are like pinks and blues and greens, a little bit of yellow because it's small town beach romance, that sort of thing. I don't really know other than that how to answer that question. And it says that for my favorites, I'd like me some banter, and then someone finds out some kind of information. Yes. I don't really know what people mean when they say an author brand. I've been trying to use the same sort of font for my promotional images and trying to pick a set of colors. And I think I figured out a set of colors I want to start using, and so I'm just going to remember to stick to those colors. So far the covers on my book have the same font on the cover. It's not the same font as the ones on my promotional images, although maybe I should do that. I mean, I kind of talk about myself and say I am a romance author. I live the color pink, and I feel like most of the time that comes across pretty well. But any of you guys have clarifying questions or comments about what author branding would mean to you, I'd love to hear it. And I mean, I don't think I have to like maintain a brand that I'm trying to create and balancing that with the actual writing of the work, because I don't feel like I'm creating a persona or creating something. I like romance, I like happy endings, I like comedy, I like small towns, I like the color pink, so I write about it. Does it need to be more complicated than that? Yes. Will I make it more complicated than that? Probably not. to have like a set of colors I'd come up with a while back that I was going to start using in like promotional images and stuff, but for some reason I forgot to start doing that. See if I can find the color palette I was thinking of using before. Image, maybe. I was thinking about this one. Yeah, nope. Let's just do that one. So I'm gonna doing these 4 colors because they are like pastel and they're pretty and they're like pale, like romancy stuff. That's what I was thinking of doing. So I always use pink, and then like my first 2 book covers are pink and blue because one's all about love, one's about sand and beach. It's not plugged in all the way. Look. Renee says that they figured out the colors they want to use, but not so much the fonts. So my 2 favorite colors are pink and purple, but I tend to gravitate towards pink since it's like my chair, my shirt, and all that stuff. So here I'm going to use a color a lot. I should probably pick one I like. The fonts, I think I know. Like I try to keep my fonts like a couple of, when I share images that have like the same theme, I try to have the same font choices across. But I haven't found a font choice that I'm like, I like that one, I'm gonna stick with it forever. Great. Now my book fonts are all the same for the cover of the books, but they're not the same that I use in my images like online. What colors are you wanting to use? So the only other question I haven't talked about yet is this one right here. The answer is yes. I will be reading a snippet from one of my books. I don't know which one yet. Thank you very much. And ooh, Renee's doing pretty purple lavender with teal. That's a good color combination too. So I think I'm gonna do is probably try to see about creating template type stuff that has those color palettes in it. Yes, I agree. Lavender and teal. I'll read a snippet from this book. totally fine with that. Now the question is, which one? Which, like, this one? So, it's my first book. It's like a bubbly pink one. You doing okay? Jess? Are you doing okay? What's wrong?
So I can assume that it was given to me for free, but I can't sell. And then I tried selling another mod, realized I forgot to upgrade it. Okay, so I went to go upgrade it, and ended up selling it for credits instead.
Okay. Have you been listening to me?
No. But,
Good.
To answer your question about this one.
Which one? Yeah?
No,
not. Oh, okay. And then, so my second book cover is like this blue, the same aspect, like blue bubbles, I guess. It's a pale blue color. And then I have a super short holiday story here. So I could read a snippet from my first book. But if anybody has any questions, let me know. Read a whole chapter. Renee asks how do you copy to stream? Practice, honestly. I didn't always stream live by myself. The first several times I was streaming with people. And then now I just think of it as like talking to a group. Imagine as if I'm just sitting there talking to a friend, and yeah, sometimes there's nobody in the chat talking to you, or talking to the chat. But I feel like I've practiced having a one-sided conversation because my kids are teens, they don't listen to me half the time anyway. So, you just practice. Lots of practice. That's why the first like several times I went live, I was guest on people's streams where I like participated in weekend write-a-thons where there was lots of different streams going on and we streamed together. So that was like getting used to doing it that way. And yes, I do tend to ramble sometimes, and I'm totally okay with that. I'm totally fine with that. I also feel like if you're gonna do the live stream, if you get stuck or it's like a ramble, I'll be like, and we're gonna do a sprint right now, and we'll just go into sprint, and it's a break away from having to be talking nonstop. Like this one, there's no breaks. I'm just talking nonstop until the end. There's no productivity sprints to it. But if you're doing a live stream where the goal is to do productivity sprints, use the productivity sprints as a way for you to have break from talking nonstop. Get stuck or get flustered, just go into a break. Said that currently wearing a sweatshirt with a dark reddish purple hue. Cool tones as well. There's definitely days that I feel less confident or less energetic. There's times when I've done live streams and it's 80% is just sprinting. That's why I like streaming with Sky, because sometimes she's more chatty, sometimes I am, sometimes she has more stuff to say, sometimes I do, vice versa. Renee says, how often do you vlog every week? It varies. So next week on Monday starts the 7-day book challenge. So I know that I'll be vlogging, having clips being filmed every day for that. So I'll be vlogging my progress doing that. When I had a schedule, I would film from like Thursday night or Sunday night, upload it on Sunday night, and then have that weekend vlog, and then I have another vlog from Monday to Thursday when I was doing it, consistently scheduling it. I don't know if I can say like I vlog, because most of my vlogs are multi-day vlogs. I rarely have a this is happening on Monday and uploading on Monday. So yeah, that's a hard one to talk about. Like that's a hard one to answer. Decide a snippet of a story. Oh, it's Renee says her vlog are usually 1 or 2 days. Yeah, most of mine are multi-day vlogs. Okay, so I'm going to read a snippet from my book.
Dad,
What?
what do you want me to do with this?
You can toss that. So, those are in the chat. Would you like me to read chapter 1 of this book? Would you like me to read the interaction from their date that they go on? So plenty of content for Planet for Book 2. Oh yeah, that's starting next month. I should totally get on that too. I would love it if I could be like, this is if I could have a whole giant batch of like images and stuff like that ready to go for quarter 2. And then know exactly what I'm gonna film. I have an idea of what I will be releasing in quarter 2. But I'm still planning. Planning. I plan like a week ahead of time, generally, if I'm trying to get it more ahead than that. Alright, so I'm gonna set the scene for this book right here. So read the snippet on the back, okay? It says Sophia, hurt by her past, finally agrees to dip her toes back in the dating pool. Only to meet one disaster after another. Thanks to her not so subtle best friend Rebecca, she tells herself to give dating another chance, which is exactly the time. Hey, come on, give me a hug. Are you going to bed? I am. Okay. Good night. What? Oh, it's on food in there.
You know.
Okay, thank you. Good night, Heather. Thanks for popping in. All right, so I'm gonna read date because someone suggested I read the date portion. At the end of this chapter and beginning of the next one, and she had to go to the store next door to buy clothes because she forgot to bring clothes with her to work. Thanks again for stopping by. All right, I'm just gonna read. I peeked at the time and picked up the page, running to the side entrance of my work in order to use the employee bathroom to change my clothes. Dashed across the parking lot and headed towards the Mexican food restaurant. As I was about to open the door, I froze. I took a few steps back and pulled out my phone. Luke, sorry, but I had to work late and won't make it, I typed in. I had my index finger over the send button when I heard my name being called. Sophia! I looked up, and it was none other than Luke himself, who had saved me from flaking out on a date. I smiled as he approached, and I almost felt guilty for nearly canceling on him. I got here a few minutes ago and snagged us a table. I hope that's okay, he said, and I followed him to the table by the far window. Chapter 4. I shoved my phone into my pocket and looked towards Luke, making sure to give him a smile. No way was I going to let him know I almost flaked out on him. He led the way, and I followed behind as we made our way to the table Luke had chosen for us. The waiter came by and filled up our water cups, and after a few minutes, we placed our order. Taco salad? That shouldn't cost too much. I need to make sure I can pay my bills later this week, too. Focus. I'm sorry, my mind was on work for a moment. Did you ask me something? I asked. I was asking what else you'd like to do other than what was shared in the profile, Luke asked. I don't know. Sometimes I take a walk on the beach, listen to music. Sometimes I get lost in a good book. I saw you mention bowling. How often do you go? I asked. I used to bowl more often, but life got in the way. Have you been to the next town over? They have a pretty good bowling alley there, Luke said. My aunt used to run a bowling alley here. Are you from here? I asked and took a drink of my water. That sounds cool. Yeah, my family has lived in the area for a few generations. What about you? He asked. I'm here. A few generations live here, but I only moved back here a couple years ago. I'm surprised we haven't ran into each other before now. Small world, I guess, I said. Different crowds too, he pointed out. There was a silence between us as we dug into our food, and I thought it was nice we could carry on our conversation. Nice to think his online personality matched what he was showing me tonight. What do you do for work? I asked. I work at the local computer store, he said. The one over on Main Street? Yeah, that's the one. Have you been there? He asked. Well, I've taken 4 or 5 laptops there to get various things fixed. You must work a lot of hours, I said. Not as many as I'd like, he replied. Well, why not? Shouldn't companies want people to work as much as they want? I thought. Because of my disability, Luke said. I looked at him up and down in confusion. What's wrong with you? You look fine to me, I said. What's wrong with you? You sound like such a jerk, I thought. I'm a bilateral below-the-knee amputee. Brain, would you start working any time now? I am amputated below the knee on both legs, Luke explained. I am so sorry. I didn't mean to blurt out like that. Can I ask how it happened? I asked, finally, breaking my silence. Contracted bacterial meningitis back in May of 2010. There was a few of us, but the doctors couldn't figure out where I got it from, Luke said. I remember reading about it in the newspaper back then. I think it's kind of cool you got it here and not from some random bug bite in the rainforest in some random foreign country, I said. That's the best reaction you could come up with. It's not going well at all, Brain. That's the first time I've gotten that reaction from someone, he said, letting out a laugh. I'm glad I didn't offend you. Don't worry about it. I get all kinds of reactions, especially when people find out I have a job. Oh, do people give you a hard time about working? I asked. A lot of people think I shouldn't work because of my legs, but just as many people think I should work in an entirely different field, Luke said. Have you always worked in the computer repair business? I asked. Well, I used to work in construction. You don't have any questions? I used to work in construction. You don't have any questions for me? Well, are the questions I've been asking boring? I asked. It's not that. It's more like you're still here and not making up a reason to leave. Why would I leave? Because of your legs? I'd be dumb. I may be reading into things, but perhaps the state isn't going to be a disaster after all. You're definitely different from other girls. Lots of times they ask me lots of questions about my legs being gone, Luke said, and lifted his glass in a cheer. Glasses clinked, and just like that, we went back to talking about boring, getting to know you questions, and the conversation seemed to flow as if we were old friends playing catch-up after not seeing each other for so long. The waiter brought the check to the table, and Luke snapped it up before I could touch it. Don't worry, I got it, Luke said. If I'd known he was paying, I might have ordered something a little more than a salad. Hopefully my stomach doesn't start to rumble. Want to go for a stroll outside? He asked. Sounds nice, I said. Luke signed the bill and led the way out of the restaurant. I finally looked around and I realized we were the only ones left inside. Is it late? I asked. Luke turned around in the walkway in front of the restaurant and gave me a smile. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess, he said, and shrugged his shoulders. Well, we were in there a long time. It's getting a little chilly, but I think a walk would be fun, I said. Let's circle back and I'll grab my coat, he suggested. Sounds good. It's a nice night. I can hear the ocean from here. Do you like to swim in the ocean? He asked. Not really. I'm more of the walk on the beach and enjoy the smell of the beach person. Can you go swimming? I asked. He stopped walking and tilted his head at me. Or was I? Oh, I learned when I was younger. Can you go swimming? He asked. Well, what do I ask him for? I keep putting my foot in my mouth for some reason. I'm kidding. I know why you asked. My legs, right? I can swim without them on, but no, I can't go in the ocean. The salt water would risk them a bit, Luke said. Oh, I thought I might have offended you. Nope, I'm pretty open about it, and there isn't much in the way of questions I haven't been asked before. My car is just across the way, Luke said. Sometimes I speak before I think and say what comes to mind, he sheepishly admitted. Nothing wrong with that. Besides, it makes for a good conversation. I keep my coat in the trunk, Luke said as he unlocked his car. I found myself laughing, nearly hysterical, as I spotted what was in his trunk. I'm so sorry, but why is there a shovel in your trunk? I finally squeaked out. My dad always told me to keep it in there in case I get stuck in the snow, but I guess I forgot about it. I don't understand what's so funny about a shovel in the trunk, though, he asked, confusion written across his face. I told my coworker about meeting you on the blind date, and she freaked out on me. Well, not everyone thinks blind dates are a good thing, he said. And when I told her not to worry, she came up with the idea you would be a murderer with an axe in your trunk. I said and started laughing again. Luke looked from me to the trunk where he had his shovel and back to me. It was only a matter of minutes before he joined in with my laughter. After a few moments, we gathered our composure as our laughter died away. Since you're clearly not an axe murderer, unless a shovel murderer is a thing, how about that walk? I asked. How would a shovel murderer even work? Luke asked. I slipped my hand around his and gave him a tug. I knew by the way he glanced at our hands together it had been the right decision. The best part, no sweaty palms here. No idea. Oh, I know. Maybe a good conk on the head and maybe a good stabbing of the eye with a handle. Oh, did I forget to mention I watch way too many crime shows? Is that weird? I rambled as I came to an abrupt stop. Luke smiled and gave my hand a tug, prompting me to keep moving. We might have skipped over the weird obsessions, but everyone has their things they like, Luke said. So what's yours? You mean having no legs isn't weird enough for you, he asked. I mean, you look fine to me, but since we're talking about TV shows, is there a series or something you'd like to watch, I asked. I'm not a big TV fan, but I think sitcoms are good. I'd rather watch movies instead so there's no commercials. Thanks, Luke said. For what? For not getting grossed out by my lack of legs, he said. Well, it's not that weird. It's not like you have a third eye or a nipple or something. Now, that would be something if you had a third eye, he said. We made our way around the block a few times during our conversation. As the time drifted by, we found ourselves coming around to his car once again. So, do you work tomorrow? I asked. I shoved my hands into my jacket pockets. For a few hours. You? Luke asked. Same shift as today. Well, thanks for a nice evening. I enjoyed meeting you, I said. Listen, I know we just met and everything, but I was wondering if it'd be okay if I kiss you goodnight, Luke blurted. A kiss? Did he ask permission? Who even does that these days? I took a couple of steps towards Luke and brought my face closer to his. I could see his freckles across his nose as they gave him a very fast peck on his lips. I have no idea what kind of kiss he was expecting, and before I could turn away in embarrassment, he pulled me back to him and kissed me. This was not a quick peck on the lip kiss I'd given him. It seemed only a few minutes before there was the faintest of taste that was warm tongue in mine. Good night, I managed to whisper as Luke broke off the kiss. Good night, he whispered back. I could feel him watching me walk away from him towards the entrance of my work. Sophia, do you have a ride home? He asked. My coworker gets off work soon and she's going to give me a ride home, I said. Great. Is it okay if I get in touch with you tomorrow? I'd like to see you again, Luke said. I'll be at work most of the day, but I'll have my phone on me, I replied and gave him a wave. He put his eyes on me as I crossed the parking lot and made it to the safety of my brightly lit store. This had turned out so much better than I thought. I could not wait to tell Sarah she was definitely in the wrong about it being an axe murderer on my date. And that is the end of that chapter. What did you think? So, funny story about the date in this book. It's kind of based. There's parts of it that are based on mine and my husband's blind date. We met at a Mexican restaurant. I almost blew him off. He had a shovel in his trunk. That scene right there actually happened in real life. But everything else in the story did not happen in real life. But I always found it funny, a funny part of the story of this meeting, so I put it in the book. But just because that is from our meeting doesn't mean these characters are us in any way. Thanks for stopping in, Renee. I appreciate you stopping in and asking the questions that you did in the stream. I get it. 5:30 is early for sure. Okay, so I've asked all questions from the form. I'm gonna just pop over there and see if any more has been submitted since the last time I checked. Okay, so someone had asked if you could work with any author or writer that is not published yet, who would you pick? A writer. Like a writer that I've like interacted with online that isn't published yet, who would I work with? I wouldn't know how to answer that question. Maybe some things to think about with my own stories from the stage. Cool, good. I'm glad I was helpful. And you appreciate it. So this is one other one that was in the form that I hadn't created a banner for yet. Work with any author or writer that is not published yet. Like, to the person meaning like someone that also writes what I want to work with. Like, I don't know how to answer that question. Most of the writers and authors I know have published something in some way, and I don't think I'd be a very good like co-writer. I'd be a good like creator, editor type person, but I don't think I'd be a good co-writer with somebody. That's I don't know how. I don't know what the person was meaning when they were answering that question. You're in if you're the person that asked this question and you're in the chat either live or viewing it afterwards, that's some clarification of what you meant by this. I think that's all I have for you all today. So I'm not going to answer this last question because I don't know what the question was asking. Is there another writer author that I want to that hasn't been published yet, but I don't but work with in what way? That's what I don't understand that question. Okay, so I think I'm going to wrap this up. If you are watching this in the replay, thanks for watching all the way to the end. If you're watching on the live stream, thanks for sticking around and listening to me ramble on about a variety of questions. If you are in this point in the stream, you have no idea who I am, I'd be surprised, but my name's Stephanie. I'm a small town romance author of a couple of books. You can find them on Amazon and paperback. You can find them any place else in most online ebook retailers. I am not in Kindle Unlimited. I am working on a couple of short stories and a full-length novel that should be announcing soon when it's coming out. I am participating in a 7-day book challenge next week where I'll be streaming on my channel every day except for possibly Monday. Monday is the only day I think I might not stream personally on my channel, but I'll be streaming. I'll be live streaming twice a day, once on my channel, once on Sky's channel. My goal is to finish a draft and reach the end. I'm also participating in the Authortube Sweet Treat theme stream crawl. And the information for that is in the description box down below. I think that's it. I'm horrible at outros. Horrible. They're never the same. Other than thanks for watching me all the way to the end. All my stuff is linked down below. I've updated all of my socials, so it's all Stephanie smwhitson and everything. I think that's it. Is there any last questions from anyone before I say adios for the night? Thanks again, Sky, for hanging out. Thanks again for some questions you submitted, and thanks again for being an awesome friend. Okay. It is Thursday. I will see you all Saturday night. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and thanks for submitting the questions you did. It was fun talking about different things